You should just know what I need,
Oh,
and
that was
then you
me.
should just do it. I shouldn't have to ask for my needs. Like if I need space,
That was my
That
I
was
biggest
shouldn't
that
have
one.
to
was
tell
one of
you.
mine.
Me too,
Yes,
Myrna,
yeah,
me
and
too.
at its heart, it's a very unfair thing, and it's also very childlike, right? It's like very early developmentally. It's like my parent should know if I'm hungry or I need my diaper changed or I'm thirsty. They should have that instinct, and they should just adapt and give it to me. But now we're talking about complex things around like affection, help, empowerment, like I can't read Tara's mind, and yet and vice versa. And yet we have this expectation kind of that our partner will. And so a lot of what we do also
Mhm.
is say like, okay, like what do you actually need in this relationship? Because then at least Tara has the ability to go, okay, I can do that.
Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young, and sitting in the guest chair today are EJ and Tara Kerwin, relationship experts. And EJ, Tara, and I are going to be talking on the topic relationship renovation, how to turn your disconnected relationships into deeper intimacy and lasting connection. Welcome, EJ. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you,
So
Marina. It's
nice
cool
to
to be
meet you.
here.
I love your energy. And yes, we talking relationships is our jam.
We're ready to
I
do it.
know, I know, I love it. And fellow podcasters, so this should go very well. Not very often I have two people on the show. I think I've had it less than five times, and I've got what, like 700 podcasts.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So you guys do this all the time. So when I ask a question, then whoever wants to answer it, that's fine.
Sure.
So, but let me give you guys a brief introduction. Tara and EJ Kerwin, founders of Relationship Renovation in Tucson, Arizona, help couples strengthen their relationships through therapy focused on communication and empathy. The Relationship Renovation Home Program offers structured support globally. Since 2019, they have co hosted the top 1% ranked relationship renovation podcast. And in 2024, they launched a YouTube channel to expand their impact. EJ and Tarah Kerwin are relationship experts and therapists who specialize in helping couples navigate major life transitions, rebuild trust, and strengthen emotional intimacy. As founders of the Relationship Renovation Counseling Center, they provide structured, evidence based therapy for couples struggling with communication issues, infidelity, emotional disconnection, and parenting challenges. You guys have listed the big ones.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, let's dive right in.
And
If there's
everything
one
in
topic I
between.
love to talk about is relationships. I can talk about it forever. So, as we start off, EJ and Tara, what are some of the common reasons couple gets disconnected? And as I was reading the bio again or the intro again, I just remembered that to me, one of the top ones would be infidelity. I hope it's on one of your common reasons. So let's talk about that.
I mean, we see couples when they're at the breaking point,
Yeah.
right? Like when they are at the point where it's like, if we don't get help, we are done. And so it comes in a lot of varieties, but generally there's some big incident that's pushed it past the edge. But there's also been dysfunction going on for a long time. So, we definitely see a lot of stuff around trust issues, whether it's a straight up an affair or an emotional affair or looking online and like friending people that you shouldn't be friending. I mean, that's definitely one of them. We see people at big transition points. That's
Yeah.
another thing, is like where they've just had a kid, or they kid just went to college, or they retired, or they moved cities. You know, we get people when they have fractured because life has
I
changed.
would also say, oh, like for me, what I see one of the big major disconnections is maybe after parenting, they have not prioritized a relationship. So now intimacy, physical intimacy has decreased, and they're just feeling like roommates. That's like another very common, like we don't feel special to each other anymore.
Yeah, those are good. But EJ, you just said that they come to you when they're saying, okay, if we
Mhm.
don't get some help, we are leaving. So
Yeah.
do you find that because I personally find that there's a lot of couples that intimacy goes and they live like roommates. Is that one of the causes of saying I'm leaving, or they just live with it for 20 years?
I mean, I think it's like a little bit of it's a little bit of both, you know. I think that oftentimes their intimacy has been offline for a long time. Oftentimes they define intimacy differently in
Mhm.
heterosexual relationship. It's oftentimes the guy is like, we don't have sex. We haven't had sex in 3 months, sometimes 3 years. For the female, oftentimes it's like, I feel totally disconnected. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't feel like you see me.
Emotional, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, this is a statistic we've been throwing around a lot lately, is most couples are not happy for an average of 6 years before they get help. And so I think
6 years.
there's either a fatigue that builds over time, where whether and then finally one of them is like, to heck with it. I'm done. If you don't go to therapy or go to a coach with me, we're over. Or like you said earlier, or somebody goes out and they start getting their needs met elsewhere.
And there's
Right.
also, these are the surprising ones, where
Mhm.
the couple will come in for the consultation and one partner will be like, I had no idea anything was wrong at all. And then they just threw out the word like, we need couples counseling or we're done. And it's like nothing had even been talked about for
Oh,
years in
wow.
their relationship. And it
Yeah.
comes to a surprise for a partner. That is more common than one would
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
actually.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because they're so accustomed to living the
Yeah.
separate lives that they don't even they think it's I mean, I don't even know how you would think that's normal, but yeah, couples are in trouble. And yeah, I mean, I heard a statistic a long time ago, and that the romance only lasts for like a year, and then and then afterwards you're just playing catch up. What do you find in your information? You just give a statistic there. The couples are in trouble for but 6 years before they decide to get help. What are you seeing as far as, okay, we're happy, we're blissful, and then it just dives?
That's whew. So that statistic actually is true, right? That first year is whatever. And what we've noticed is that couples do not have the skills to learn how to go into a deeper emotional, physical intimacy when they're together for longer periods of times and they just expect that it will happen and it will always stay the same. And then they get stuck in that disappointment and that grief, but they don't have the skills to talk about it. And so
Yes,
now this is how it's showing up. It's
yes.
not
So
about that it will never get that year back. We won't. Our brain's different, our oxytocin, our chemicals are different, but they don't know how to cultivate that deeper level intimacy because so many things get triggered by our partner once we're together for a longer period of time. And we're like, you're not supposed to trigger me. We're supposed to just have awesome sex and be amazing like we were. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
hang on. And so, I
wow.
mean, we know it through our own relationship. It's why we built what we have. It's not because we had this joyful, blissful relationship. It was because we had this amazing first year and then these huge transitions happened. And I was like, see you later, EJ, I'm done. And here, these are two marriage counselors at the time. And I said, if
Wow.
you and I are having this difficult of a time with a transition, we have to figure it out. We have to help our community here in Arizona because we are two trained professionals
Wow.
and we are losing our shit and I'm divorcing you, but I don't want to because I know I love you. We've
Yeah.
got to figure it
Right.
out.
Yeah, and I think
Wow.
it's like super counterintuitive to people. Like, we
Yeah.
just interviewed a couple, it was on the podcast the other day, and they've been together 26 years.
Mhm.
They got together in high school. They had a kid right? And their relationship was totally on the rocks. They were on the verge of divorce. They came to our center and they're happier than they ever have been. And so I think what people don't
25
realize,
years later.
I think what they don't realize is that actually like doing the work of rebuilding your relationship is what's going to bring you to that happier place. Like instead of, they think it's like, oh, it's just going to be painful. We're just going to talk about, we're going to just like complain and rag on each other. And really what's helped us and why like we feel so close in our relationship right now is we over these past like, 10, 12 years have just ruthlessly worked on our relationship. We've like worked on like Tara has called me on my stuff. I've pushed her in ways. And what it's resulted in was like some really difficult conversations, some prolonged difficult moments in our relationship. But now we're super durable.
Yeah.
Now
Yes.
attraction and intimacy is sort of like beginning to flow again and feeling really nice. But it doesn't happen on autopilot, and everybody wants it to happen on autopilot.
And humans don't like uncomfortable. Right?
Right,
Like
right,
that's why they think,
right.
oh, maybe it's just this person, so I'm going to go to the next person. And
Yeah.
sometimes we're not saying all couples should be together, but we are saying instead of making a decision out of leaving out of fear, go through the work, be more clear, right? Because maybe you do have different values and maybe you are growing in different ways, and that's okay. Like we've had amicable endings at our counseling center, like they're both crying because they love each other, but they got to make a decision of not being together out of clarity instead of fear. And just we're so reactive. We're such a reactive society. And it's like, if you
Yes.
make me unhappy, I'm just going to go look for the next thing. And then we see like statistics show, and this is not true for everybody, first marriage divorce rate is around 49%. Second marriage, 63%. Third marriage is 74%. Why?
Yes.
Because it
Yes.
follows you if you don't
Yes.
increase your awareness around what's happening and the patterns that
Yes.
are happening. Because EJ was married before me, and I had never been married before him, but like, he's like, how could I pick such a different person? Like, I'm so different from his ex, but yet the same things are showing up. And I'm like, well, we have to
Wow.
look at this because
Well,
I really
I
want to
had to
stay
look at
with you.
myself like that's what people don't want to do. It's so much easier to point your finger than to
Oh
look at like
yeah, it's so
I
much
was
easier to
forced.
point the finger because we all sit around thinking that this person is there to make us happy. So we look around for what is it that you're not doing for me, and that is so great. But I want to go back to your transition because I
Mm.
saw it in your bio. What exactly were the transitions that made your life, seem not your life, you're married, seem that
Can
it's
I?
going to end?
Don't
What
get
was
her
it?
started, Myrna. Here she
No, I'm
goes.
starting.
I know you
So
are.
picture this. Picture this.
Yes.
3-bedroom condo, me, overlooking Sabino Canyon, like beautiful mountain ranges, maybe cleaning once a week, madly in love with this new guy, EJ, I'm dating, fall madly in love. He's got 2 boys, by the way. They're 2 and 4 at the time. At 50% of the time we have them, they're great boys. They love me, but we're not living together, whatever. We get engaged. Awesome, cried, loved it, screamed when he got down on one knee. And we went on our honeymoon, and I came back pregnant with twins.
Oh my goodness.
So
Okay.
I go
That's
from,
a blessing.
oh, such a blessing. I was so happy because we didn't even know. I was 37. I was like,
Mm.
but I went from 0 to 4
Four
kids
kids.
under 5 years
Mm.
old. But the
In
thing that,
Mm.
18 months.
in 18 months, but the thing that rocked me was both the twins both had colic. And I didn't even know what that was. So I nursed every hour. I did not sleep
Goodness.
for days on end. I had massive postpartum depression, which I didn't even know what that was. And EJ had to take over my entire caseload. So he would be gone from 8 a.m. until 9 p.m. And here I am with these 4 kids,
Goodness.
2 newborns, and I was overwhelmed in a way that I never had been. And that's what that transition was. And
And it set a
Oh my
tone
goodness.
for literally
yeah.
years of us just surviving and not
Yes.
thriving,
Yes.
and so we were
I can just
constantly in
imagine
fight, flight,
you don't
freeze.
want any kind of intimacy. You're overwhelmed, you're
I was like,
tired, and
don't even look at my breast, buddy. That is for one purpose only, and that is feeding my kids.
Well, I remember you
Wow.
used to
We
say
can laugh about
me
it
and
now,
my
but it
kids.
makes total sense. Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I think
Okay.
postpartum, like I'm so great. I always feel like universe and God gives me something so I can help others because I know I'll get through it. I have that resilient nature. I grew up in a very traumatic childhood and I had to start kind of raising myself since I was 8 years old. So I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
I can handle this. I don't know how, but I can. And I feel like I'm so grateful that I had these experiences because the work we've done and the
Yes.
thousands of couples we've created, but I would never have known postpartum to be that. And
Unless you
I
experience it. Yes.
yes, and I can't tell you how many couples we've helped after parenting, and I'm like, that's not you being crazy.
Mhm.
That is postpartum. And like their doctors haven't given them resources. I remember my um gynae was about to like let me go and I was feeling suicidal. I'm like, I don't want
Oh
to
my
do this
goodness.
anymore. And she was like, oh, well, you'll be fine. This is totally new for new parents. And my other
Wow.
doctor was like, that's not okay. You should have never been able to leave. They should have assessed you for postpartum. And I'm like,
Oh,
what's
wow.
postpartum? Like no one talked to me about it. So I love that I can I know a lot of
Help
people
people.
have that education, but I'm glad I got to experience it because we've helped so many people who thought they were just crazy. And EJ was like, why does my wife hate me? Like, I don't hate you. I'm just like, I'm in this postpartum thing that I
Wow.
didn't, but it took
Wow.
a year to get that diagnosed. So I'm living for a year with
Wow.
this like massive
Wow.
anger and like, how dare you do this to me?
Wow.
But yes, we are
Well,
very
I'm
blessed.
I'm glad I asked the question. Yeah, 'cause that's a big transition, right? And you mentioned another one with, the kids have left the house and your life has been circled around them all the time, and now it's just you two alone. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can just even retirement. I have a very good friend that's been married for 35 years, and I texted him the other day and I said, "How are you doing?" And he just retired, and he and his wife are and they're having issues because that's another
Yeah.
transition, right? Normally you're
Yep.
gone all day, and now you're together, and even vacations. A lot of couples
Yeah.
break up on vacations because they're not accustomed to being
Yeah.
together for 24 hours. So
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I can
Oh,
understand. So go ahead.
yeah,
What were
I
you
mean,
want to say?
well, I mean, so in a general sense, when there are changes, like when things are different than they were yesterday or the day before, that's when each of our like autonomic response systems go on. That's when we just start reacting instead of acting intentionally.
mm,
And most of the time, unfortunately, with couples, is those automatic responses create conflict because they're not intentional, they're not a dance, they're bumpy as hell, you're stepping on each other's toes, you're solving the problems in a totally different way than I want to solve the problems. When we're in an argument, I want to walk out the door. Like I want to go get away and chill out so there's not conflict. Tara's like, she wants to go at it. She wants to talk it out. We got to deal with this right now. You got to tell me what you're feeling. And right. And so those things did not work. And so then what couples have to do is they have to get intentional. Like they have to look at like, okay, what is my automatic reaction in a moment that's difficult? And what is yours?
mm.
And is that the way we want to be? Does that work? Like, how do we make the shifts? And it's difficult stuff because a lot of the things that I do and Tara does, we don't totally choose it, right? It's just the way we adapted as children.
Mm.
And now we're trying to continue to do it as adults. And it's not
Mhm.
working in our relationship. If I lived in a cave, it would work really well,
Sometimes I
which
want you
I
to
think
live in a
about it.
cave.
I think about moving to a
I
cave
want a cave.
sometimes.
I want my own cave too.
Well, some men create their man cave in their house. This same friend that I was
True.
telling about, he had a man cave, and wives are not in and allowed in.
Yeah. And how functional
So,
is that, right?
what was that?
And how functional is that for some?
I know, right? You still got to come out of it, right? Right. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we've had a great start. So, you talk a lot about mindset shifts and couples having limiting beliefs that
Mm,
keep them stuck with their existing perspectives. And I'm almost sure it's coming from your childhood, the culture, what you expect. And, I personally, because I've been married 3 times, and I remember one of my boyfriends, wasn't even one of my husbands, said to me, um, you have a lot of expectations, and I don't think that I can meet those expectations. So I think we
Mm.
should break up. And I did have a lot of expectations. So, I mean, I can understand that you're coming into a relationship and you're thinking that this is what it's supposed to be. The guy
Yeah.
is the one supposed to be reaching out for sex. So a woman is not supposed to do it. The guy is supposed to bring me flowers. The guy is supposed to do this. And that's culture. And then,
Hmm.
so those are some of the common beliefs. So let's talk about that.
Oh,
I see, Tara,
so
you're raring to go, right?
well, it's so because we had to look at everything. Like when EJ and I sat down and we were like, how did we, I've been a marriage counselor for over 20 years, since I was 24 years old. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that's like over 25 years.
Without
Anyway,
being married.
gosh,
That's a good one.
I waited until I was 37. But so
Mm,
when we sat down and we created our model, it's called the Relationship Renovation Model. It usually takes about 6 months for couples, but every couple's different. But one of the very first things in there is all of the expectations, and to get
yes.
couples talking about it, because that's the thing. We have these unmet expectations that we were
Expectations. Yep.
never really talked about. So we make sure very early on we're talking about them. We're making sure they're realistic, not unrealistic. But then that mindset piece, because we get to those negative core beliefs that we developed when we were young to make sense of the world. And now our partner triggers that negative core belief, like I'm unimportant, I'm insignificant, I'm not safe. Um, but one of the things we do is we do this little lesson called acceptance versus resignation, right? Because resignation is like, this will never change. We will never be okay.
Heck with it.
We're doomed forever. Versus, so that's resignation, versus nothing's changing, but that mindset of acceptance. We're in a really bad place right now, but we're taking steps so it won't like be like this forever. Just that mind shift right there, acceptance versus resignation. Our couples are like, oh, right? Like because they're in such a place of disempowerment and powerlessness. So we work a few sessions with them, constantly reminding them acceptance over resignation. We want you to feel empowered. We don't want you to feel powerless. And that is really helpful because it doesn't feel like they'll be in it forever, but that they're going to be in it for some time, but they're going to accept that and do the work that it takes to
Yeah.
get to the, that next chapter for them or whatever that looks like.
Well, and another big mindset shift that happens with couples is you should just know what I need,
Oh,
and
that was
then you
me.
should just do it. I shouldn't have to ask for my needs. Like if I need
Mhm, mhm.
space,
That was
That
me.
I
was
shouldn't
that
have to
was
tell
one of
you.
mine.
Me too.
Yes,
Myrna,
yeah,
me
and
too.
it at its heart, it's a very unfair thing, and it's also very childlike, right? It's like very early developmentally. It's like my parent should know if I'm hungry or I need my diaper changed or I'm thirsty. They should have that instinct, and they should just adapt and give it to me. But now we're talking about complex things around like affection, help, empowerment, like I can't read Tara's mind, and yet and vice versa. And yet we have this expectation kind of that our partner will. And so a lot of what we do also
Mhm.
is say like, okay, like what do you actually need in this relationship? Because then at least Tara has the ability to go, okay, I can do that. Or no, I don't want to have sex
I want,
7 days a week. And then I have to adapt and say like, okay, well, okay, like
Yeah.
can I live with that or not? Or if
Right, right, right.
whatever Tara's requests are.
we always like live by the words of Brene Brown, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. Like even if you're sicker than sick and you want your partner to register that you need chicken noodle soup and they're not, and you're like, how could, you're like, honey, it would feel really awesome if you could go get me that chicken noodle soup. The clearer
Yes.
you are, then
Mhm.
you have that chance of like, will this partner meet my needs? I'm making my needs pretty clear and pretty
Yeah.
kind as much as I can. And if they're absolutely like not willing to, well, then you're getting more clarity because I've been able to try to say what these needs are in a soft, hearable way, or a softish, hearable way. And
Yeah,
if
yeah,
and if you have a partner that's continuously like no, then again, then that's not your
right,
person, right?
right.
But now you have that best chance of success to see the relationship can be successful. And usually both people want to meet each other's needs. They just don't know how to because they don't know how to verbalize them, because boundaries are a big thing, right? If you don't grow up with solid boundaries in a household, you're not going to know what healthy boundaries are. And then you're just going to get all jacked up all over the place in a
Yeah,
relationship.
but in a certain age range, and I'm in that age range, you're brought up to think that there's certain things that the man is supposed to do and the man is supposed to know. Maybe you
Yeah.
read too many romance books or whatever. But yeah, you're expecting the man to know how to treat a woman, what he's supposed to do. And when he doesn't, you say, "Well, don't you go read a book?" How can you
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
know? Because women don't like to ask for what they want. I don't know if men like to, but women don't like to ask for what they want. So yeah, I can imagine that I'm
Yeah.
sick and I'm expecting my husband to come and say, "Can I get you some soup? Can I go out and get you anything?" And when he doesn't, or if he's watching football or something, I will get mad, right?
Yeah.
But yes, but yes, as
Yeah.
you get into being more comfortable with your partner, being more comfortable with expressing yourself, then they tell you that men are not mind readers. Women are not
Yeah.
mind readers either, even though they do better than men because
Yeah.
they have intuition. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're supposed to ask for what you need. And it's funny. I was thinking of Brown's book. I actually quoted her today. I was talking to my daughter about something, but I like what she has the book that's called The Work. And one of the things that I was always that I have practiced with her work is asking yourself, is it true? How do you know it's true? So that's the
Yeah.
one I would have quoted.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's this also this misperception too, like because I'll never forget the moment where I had no idea how to ask for help. I've been working and feeding myself and my siblings since I was 8 years old. Like I'm like a super, in my mind, other people see me as that. So here I have these twins and these other two boys, and I'm just doing it all. I'm doing it all.
Yeah,
And I don't know how
yeah,
to ask for help. And then it
right.
took a breakdown. Like I remember everybody was at our house. I'm talking my sister and her mother-in-law and my mother-in-law. And here they are having drinks and having hot dogs and chicken. And I am like, I've got these babies on me. I can't even talk to my sister. And I had this breakdown. I'm like, can't any of you, it didn't sound like that. I was crying.
I know, I
Can't
know.
any of
Mhm.
you see that I need help? Like, take
Right.
a baby from
Yes.
me, go give it a bath, go
Right.
feed it. Well, they wouldn't take anything but my breast, but, and I
Yes.
remember at that point, like, people saw me as like, God, she doesn't need help because I had no idea how to ask for it. And
Superwoman.
that
Yes.
and it was when
Yes.
I realized, and that happens a lot too. It's like I had no idea you wanted chicken noodle soup. Like you're just always taking care of other things. And that's a woman thing too. Like we're
Yes.
caretakers to the freaking
Mm-hmm.
Well,
nth
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
degree. And if we ask for help, that means there's something wrong with us, especially
Yes.
new moms. I'm like, I got this. I got my two step kids. I've got this colic. I've got the dishes. I've got the food. I've got the lunches. I've got the homework. I've got it all. And I absolutely
there's
did not.
also another, I mean, this is why you need the help of somebody outside of your relationship to help you untangle it, because there's a whole other level in this with Tara and other people as well, of like she doesn't know what she needs, or like doesn't know how to ask for help, but then when you don't give it to her, she resents you for it,
Yes.
and
Right.
this
That's
anger
what I
comes
said.
up.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
and then it's not just that like people look at you and say like, oh, like she's superwoman. They're also like, she's kind of a porcupine too right now, and so going to ask if you need help feels dangerous, and
Yeah.
so people give that person like a wider berth. And so a
Mhm.
Right.
lot of it has been like Tara asking for what she needs, and then me also developing the tolerance to like walk up at times and be like, hey, can I help you? Or what's going on? Because it's confusing. Like you seem like you're angry right now, or you're upset. And
Mhm.
it's my job to be tender, even in a moment where being tender doesn't feel natural.
More attuned. Yeah.
Like, yeah, like when there is resentment, being able to push through that and be like, hey, I'm here. I want to help you. I don't know how to, though.
Well, and then
Yeah. Well, that's
for
good.
And for most
Yes.
couples, they're not therapists. And so we're
No.
like, we are compelled to practice what we preach, compelled. So, like,
Yes.
every day we're like, okay, we've got to pay attention to this. But most couples don't have
No.
their livelihood being a
No. They
couples
don't have
counseling.
the language.
Yeah.
They don't have the language. They don't have any of the thing. They just the woman is just yeah,
Yeah.
well, the woman is
They,
just
yeah.
yeah.
They literally
Yeah.
need, that coaching element, like
Mhm.
in a session sometimes of like, hey, what would happen if you put your hand on her hand in this moment? I'm seeing that you're leaning towards the opposite side of the couch. What would happen if you just leaned in a little
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
And it's so
Mhm.
wild because what you'll see is like you can literally like puppet somebody into a movement and say like, sir, put your hand on your wife's hand.
Or eye
And
contact,
then and then she breaks down
like in a
because
good
she
way.
just wants touch. She just
Yes.
wants somebody to be
Yes.
loving and caring in a difficult moment. And you can literally tell them to do it, and it still creates that moment.
Yeah.
But like, because I know, like, I have to do that to myself. I have to be like, walk towards her. Don't walk out the door. Do not go
Do
to
not
the
go to that cave.
do not go and clean the pool instead of staying in this difficult moment, right? But people need that support from a coach, from a therapist to say like, hey, what would happen if you stayed present with her right now? You know?
Yeah, and I think
That's
that
pretty good.
couples think they're uniquely broken if they need counseling or coaching, and it's so not true.
No.
We
No.
Who learns these skills? Uh,
No. And I think it's a great thing to do before you go and file those divorce papers.
yeah,
I think you need to give it to yourself, your life, because again, a lot of people think that their grass is greener on the other side and they'll go
yeah.
find one. But you just talked about those statistics. And
Hmm.
I read a lot of books about that. The grass is never greener on the other side. There's a new quote that I've learned, the grass is greener when you water it. So,
Exactly.
I love
take
that.
care of the one that you have right now and don't go looking. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do want to touch on the emotional disconnection piece
Mm,
because, um, uh, it can come from being roommates. It can come from infidelity, lack of trust. It can come from I don't know, parenting, where the mother is giving all her attention to the kids
hmm.
and she has no connection to the father anymore. I don't know. So let's talk now about your renovation. How
Mm.
do you start renovating these issues?
So
So let's
one
get into that.
So one of the first, so we have like the model we had is structure, right? Kids need structure to feel safe and thrive. We were like, when we started our couples counseling, we're like, in coaching, people need structure, a beginning, middle, and end, so they know what to expect. And one of the first things we do before we even get into any content, and in our offices, we have feelings pillows, we have feelings magnets, we have feelings wheels, we have feelings everything. We say, we do a check in. How are you feeling? And they're usually like, oh, this happened this week. No, no. How are you feeling? Take that pillow right now, scan your body. So we really start in the session itself so that they can kind of see what it feels like, doing a check in, feelings, successes, and challenges. And then we ask them to go home every day and spend 5 minutes getting in like to see what each other's emotional landscape is because they haven't been doing that. They've just been living separately, but
Mhm.
managing whatever they have to. And just that check in process feels like it's new. You're now naming feelings, and we say name 2 to 3, and it can't just be okay and tired. It's got to be I feel lonely. I feel joyful today, right? And so getting a kind of glimpse of the other person's landscape, well, now you're getting something that's different. And now you're creating, because most people, right, they get up, they brush their teeth, they take their kids to school, they go to work. You also are going to have to do a check in because it's a new behavior that we want you to do. And we don't want it to be robotic, we want it to be intentional. And they love that process. And then there's the weekly check-in too, like, hey, how did our week go? Where did we maybe get it wrong? What could we do better this week? Like they're always creating more intentional routines together to feel connected because there has been no system for it, I guess. We create systems that they didn't even know they needed
I think
for
that
emotions.
I think that we did when we started doing this work, we didn't even realize on some level of what we're doing, and it really ties into, we've mentioned Brene Brown a few times. It really ties into that idea of vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Is that people do not have a context of how to create systems within their relationship that create connecting moments.
Mm-hmm.
And what connects us most is when we put everything else down,
Yeah.
when we open our heart up and we have a language to connect with. And so that's one of our base levels. Like, so many of our exercises come back down to this idea of putting everything else down
Mm-hmm.
and having a system to connect us, so that when shit goes sideways, when we have a really bad day and things are tough and there is a big stressor, that is just a little more natural. But you have to start literally by practicing it every single day. And it's simple. It's not even 5 minutes. It's like a check-in can be like 90 seconds of like,
Mm-hmm.
today I'm feeling a little bit scared and lonely. And how many people open up and have a language for
And say
that
that.
to
Yeah.
quickly get there? Instead, it's
Most
like,
people
I'm
don't. They don't
stressed.
admit it, right? They
No,
just
no.
right.
Yeah.
So, let's take an example that you started off with. You said that there is a couple that came to you after 26 years
Mm-hmm.
and they were about to get divorced and now they're happy. So, if I'm emotionally disconnected from my husband because he cheated or he doesn't see me or any of the other things, how do I get that back? Even when I check in, I'm checking where I don't feel love. I check in where I feel like he's abandoned me. So what do
So
you do to move forward?
so there you go. So those were thoughts, right? And people get lost in it because the thought is I feel like he abandoned me. The feeling is I'm really scared. People connect with I feel scared, and people do not react to I feel like you're abandoning me, because now your partner is going to be like, oh my God, it's me again. I did it something wrong. I can never get it right. And it's
Right.
so
True.
subtle, and you
Yes.
wouldn't believe it. We are, I'm constantly in session like, that's a thought. I'm so sorry. Look at that feelings pillow. What does that thought create under that? But we're so right. It's called right. We have automatic thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and they hijack us. And what we do is we help couples get very intentional to not get hijacked by the thoughts, because the thoughts hijacked us, and then we're off to the races in not a good way. And
Hmm.
how can we connect to the vulnerable feelings? Vulnerable feelings are I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm lonely. Your partner is going to most likely can't be like, how dare you be scared and lonely? But he will be like, how dare you tell me I
See,
keep
I
abandoning you?
abandoned you.
That's not what I
Right.
do.
True.
I
True.
showed up
True.
this way, and this way. And then it's like,
Yes.
oh, here we go, fight of the perspectives.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so the feelings
So
piece is
that's the
so
first step
key.
to coming
Well,
It's
I
the,
back together.
I think the first step is we have a exercise called the 6 words,
oh,
and it's
yeah.
like, let's together. Maybe we feel disconnected right now. Maybe we're arguing all the time, but let's create the 6 words that describe the relationship that I would want with or without you. I would like
Yeah.
to feel connection. I would like it to
Play.
be loving. I would like there to be honesty, and just coming up with like, okay, that's the aspiration,
Mm-hmm.
because most of those things are pretty like universal. And it's like hard to say, like, if your partner's like, I want an affectionate relationship, to be like, oh, well, yeah, I don't want that in my relationship. Or I want honesty. Not so much. These are like pretty like universal things. And that if you come up with that first,
Yeah.
then when you start layering in having a language for expressing your emotions,
Mm-hmm.
you know, understanding my unconscious habits when there is conflict, those become sort of the like, the building blocks to get to honesty, to
Yeah.
get to affection, to get to respect, right? But for me, I think it's why we place that 6 word exercise at the very
It is the
beginning
very first
is that
assignment they have.
we have to have an understanding of where we're going before we
Yes.
can start a path there.
Right.
And the question that we always ask, because couples come in to write, this is going wrong and this is going wrong, and he does this and they do this and da da da. And I throw a curveball. Like, wow, 20 years together, I hear all your misery, but what works about you? And they're like, what? And so we take that strength-based approach because we know we're going to get through some very difficult material, especially with infidelity. We have a ton of couples experiencing infidelity. So we really have to
Yes.
have that resource-based position in order to go, but we know when to go there and when not to go there. Like they'll be like, we just need to talk about the affair. And I'll say, you won't hear it any differently yet. And I don't want you to hear it in the same way because now you're just spending money and time hashing out the same thing you could in the car when you leave here. So I can't let you do that. And they'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, you're right. And we'll get to it, I promise, but you're not going to hear it differently. So that would be crazy to spend
Right.
that time doing that. And so you just
Right.
build a confidence therapist or coach builds that trust that this is a process, that you're both here saying this feels awful for both of us. You're both suffering in different ways and alone. We want to help you suffer together to build empathy and compassion. And that usually happens,
Okay.
usually. And even if they decide to not stay together, they have a lot more compassion and understanding. And look, if they do have a family, their kids get to see how do we try to be our best selves in this really awful, difficult situation instead of,
Yeah.
right, bringing kids in the
Yeah.
middle of it, which can be, awful.
A-
Ugh.
And not only that, there's a statistic that you talked about second and third marriages. And yeah, once you fix yourself, then even if it's too late for that partner, you're still going into your new relationship, whether you get married or being in
Absolutely.
another relationship, you're fixing yourself. So it's
Yep.
very, very important. Now, I've not gone to therapist,
Yeah.
but I read a lot of books. And I,
Hey,
I
that's,
just actually, I don't remember where I got it from, but just recently I wrote down in my journal what is right with my marriage, because we always
yeah,
talk about what's wrong. So
absolute.
I heard that before.
Yes. And we,
The
like,
list, yeah, I
oh,
had
go
a long list of what's right. You don't think about it until you write it down.
No, and that's the thing. Like we call it the taxi cab of love. Like people come in and they tell us where they don't want to go. And I'm like,
Yes.
okay, well, if you're going to call an Uber, are you going to be like, I don't want to go here? And no, you're going to say, I want to
Where you
go
want to go,
to New
right?
York
Yes.
Square, Times Plaza, blah, blah, blah. Where do you want to go? And we keep helping
Yes.
remind the couple, but I know that's where you don't want to go, but here's where you
Right.
want to go. And that's what we're going to give a chance to get out of that negativity bias. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So it's the time of the show for you to tell us about your podcast and your at-home program. I
Oh.
think you've been telling us about your at-home program throughout this conversation. So talk about your podcast and anything that we have not covered so far,
Yeah, I
about your
mean,
at-home program, how people can connect with you, where your podcast is, your website, social media handles, that kind of thing.
sure. I mean, Relationship Renovation Podcast. We have weekly episodes. It's the two of us talking about what's going on in our relationship and how it applies to others. It's taking on a direct topic. It's interviewing like yourself, like experts in the field.
And lots of couples too that have been through our model.
Yeah, and couples love
Nice.
hearing other couples and what they've been through, and then where they are now, which is awesome. And
Yeah.
then we have an at-home program. We also have private coaching that the two of us do with couples. It's just the two of us and another couple, which is amazing and it's some of our favorite work. The easiest thing to do to just get a hold of us is go to our website,
Mhm.
relationshiprenovation.com, and there's a pop-up quiz right now where you take like a 13 question. It's called the Emotional Safety Quiz, and it gives you a nice reading about where you might be in your relationship,
Mhm.
the strengths and things you might be struggling with, and then through that you'll give us your email and you can tell us what program you're interested in, and we'll reach out to you.
And we just have our social media, Instagram, just like little quick reels on what our podcast is or that guest that was on our show or the couple that we interviewed. We just interviewed our daughter was on last week and she's 11 and she talked about her OCD and she's so cute and how her little four
One of the
steps.
twins?
The twins, they're 11 now, boy girl twins, and she got diagnosed with OCD.
Wow.
And so she's been through her own therapy, and she really wanted everyone to know that you can manage anxiety, that there is not something wrong
Oh,
with
that's
you.
so beautiful.
So yeah, and we have like what, over almost 300 episodes. Everything like relationship topic you can possibly imagine, even
100%.
relationships with your animals. I mean, I remember that was like a 3 year ago anyway. But yeah, we're here. We always answer questions. You can send us emails if you have like podcast episodes people want us to do. We just listen to our listeners because our listeners have been amazing. So,
That's amazing. What's your Instagram handle? The same
Relationship
relationship
underscore
renovation?
renovation.
yeah, relationship_renovation.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, I told you in the as we started that relationships is one of my favorite topics, and I love talking about it. I've been through my own relationship issues, but as I learn and I grow, because not only do I talk to experts like you and learn, but I also read a lot of books. So I've, transitioned my relationship where it's working pretty good now, but didn't start off that way. But yes, I'll go on and take your quiz and see what my strengths are and what I need to
Yeah.
Yay.
work on still. So that's amazing. I enjoyed having you on the show. I will have a short transcript of our conversation on the show page, which is myhelps.us. I will link out to your website. I'll link out to your Instagram handle,
Sweet.
and yeah, so that people can connect with you. After, because yeah, I think that you have whetted our appetite. That yes, instead of throwing in that towel, then do the work
Absolutely. It's
to see
worth it.
where it can go. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a lot of personal growth. And then I know just between the two of us, like we feel the strongest we've ever felt. Like, is it the honeymoon phase? No. But there's something like really rich and wonderful. And
Yes.
even like the fact that like now when we do have a bump, it resolves so much quicker.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
there's going to
Oh
be
yeah.
bumps still. That's just inevitable. But like we really trust, I think, in each other more now than we ever have before.
Oh yeah, because you've done the work. Love is the foundation.
Yeah.
People have to learn to live together and
Oh
be
yeah.
together. And that's where, like you mentioned, a lot of couples, even though they love each other, they still, say, I love you, but I can't live with you, or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, so you
Exactly.
guys love each other, can live you. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
yeah, I can just
Most
imagine.
days, most
And
days.
thank you. You just your energy and bubbliness, like congrats on your success and everything. Like it has been such an honor to be able to be on your podcast and thank you. Like it's
Yeah,
been
it's been fun.
awesome.
Yes, I appreciate it. All right, guys. So, you got like a minute left. You have any last words before we wrap up?
I mean,
Well, oh,
let me give mine. Mine is it's something that's in our lobby that we say to all
I
couples.
was gonna say that.
Uh, Go ahead.
No, you go because we'll just make that our out because that
Yeah,
was what I was gonna say too.
it's in our lobby. It says, "Our partner is our teacher. Can you be patient for the lesson?"
No, let me correct that, my
All right, go
darling.
ahead.
Our partner is our greatest
Greatest
teacher.
teacher.
Be patient for the
Mm,
lessons.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never
There,
actually
she
heard that
taught me
one
something
before.
right there.
I love
I,
it. But
yep.
our relationships are like our mirror. So I
Ab
understand that totally. It's your
Yep.
Yeah.
teacher.
Absolutely love it.
All right. Well, I loved our conversation, and I love the energy that you bring and what you do, and
Thank you.
and it's great for people out there to see that this marriage thing can work.
It can
Those
work.
Absolutely.
statistics are
High
not
five,
very
babe.
promising, but it can work.
Don't wait
So
7 years, people. Do not wait 7 years to be miserable before seeking a
Amen.
support. That's what I would like to
listening
say.
help, right? Awesome.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well,
Thank you
listen.
so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I hope you were inspired by my guests today, EJ and Tarah Kerwin, and that you've learned something about relationship renovation. Until next time, thank you, EJ. Thank you, Tara. I loved our conversation. Until next time, namaste.
Namaste.
All right. Thank you. That was
Thank
awesome.